Hello. I'm back to read from the Kitáb-Í-Iqán, the Book of Certitude by Bahá'u'lláh. And now he's going to talk about the manifestation of God who appeared after Noah. I don't know if he's mentioned in the Bible, but apparently he is mentioned in the Quran. So it says, "And after Noah, the light of the countenance of Hud shone forth above the horizon of creation. For well nigh 700 years, according to the sayings of men, he exhorted the people to turn their faces and draw nearer unto the paradise of the divine presence." So, as I explain frequently, here Baha'u'lláh is talking about the persecutions that have befallen every manifestation of God. And manifestation of God is what we call these divine messengers that have appeared from age to guide humanity, such as Jesus and Moses and Muhammad and Buddha and White Buffalo Calf Woman. These divine messengers have come throughout the ages to every society so that everyone would have guidance from their Creator. So now Baha'u'lláh is talking about this manifestation of God whose name was Hud. What showers of afflictions rained upon him, until at last his adjurations bore the fruit of increased rebelliousness, and his assiduous endeavors resulted in the willful blindness of his people. And here's a quote from the Quran. "And their unbelief shall only increase for the unbelievers their own perdition." Unquote. "And after him there appeared from the paradise of the eternal, the invisible, the holy person of Salih, who again summoned the people to the river of everlasting life. For over 100 years he admonished them to hold fast unto the commandments of God and eschew that which is forbidden." In case you don't know what the word eschew means, it means avoid. "His admonitions, however, yielded no fruit, and his pleading proved of no avail. Several times he retired and lived in seclusion. All this, although that eternal beauty was summoning the people to no other than the city of God, even as it is revealed again in the Quran. And unto the tribe of Thamud we sent their brother Salih. O my people, said he, worship God. Ye have none other God beside him. They made reply, O Salih, our hopes were fixed on thee until now. Forbiddest thou us to worship that which our fathers worshipped? Truly, we misdoubt that whereunto thou callest us as suspicious. So they're saying, we really had our hopes in you, Salih. We really believed in you. But now you're telling us we can't worship the way our fathers worship, which may have been idol worshiping, sacrifice of children, and so forth. And he says, well, since you're telling us that we can't do what our fathers did, now we're not so sure that you're for real. And that's from the Quran. Of course, that's my interpretation of the Quran. All this proved fruitless until at last there went up a great cry, and all fell into utter perdition. And perdition means loss. Now he's going to talk about Abraham. Later, the beauty of the countenance of the friend of God, that would be Abraham, appeared from behind the veil, and another standard of divine guidance was hoisted. He invited the people of the earth to the light of righteousness. the more passionately he exhorted them. The fiercer waxed the envy and waywardness of the people, except those who wholly detached themselves from all save God, and ascended on the wings of certainty to the station which God hath exalted beyond the comprehension of men. It is well known what a host of enemies besieged him, until at last the fires of envy and rebellion were kindled against him. And after the episode of the fire came to pass, he, the lamp of God amongst men, was, as recorded in all books and chronicles, expelled from his city. So I guess this reference to Abraham is probably found in the Quran. So I'll have to pick up my Quran and continue reading it so I can know what he's talking about. Just to catch you up, Baha'u'lláh is basically going through the different manifestations of God who have come to educate the human race and to guide us to our spiritual destiny. And he's talking about how every time a manifestation of God comes, he is persecuted, terribly persecuted. And he's going through these different manifestations to prove his point. And when his day was ended, there came the turn of Moses, armed with the rod of celestial dominion, adorned with the white hand of divine knowledge, and proceeding from the Paran, the mountaintop, of the love of God, and wielding the serpent of power and everlasting majesty, he shone forth from the Sinai of light upon the world. He summoned all the peoples and kindreds of the earth to the kingdom of eternity, and invited them to partake of the fruit of the tree of faithfulness. Surely you are aware of the fierce opposition of Pharaoh and his people, and of the stones of idle fancy which the hands of infidels cast upon that blessed tree. So much so that Pharaoh and his people finally arose and exerted their utmost endeavor to extinguish with the waters of falsehood and denial the fire of that sacred tree, oblivious of the truth that no earthly water can quench the flame of divine wisdom, nor mortal blasts extinguish the lamp of everlasting dominion. Nay, rather, such water cannot but intensify the burning of the flame, and such blasts cannot but ensure the preservation of the lamp. Were ye to observe with the eye of discernment, and walk in the way of God's holy will and pleasure. How well hath a believer of the kindred of Pharaoh, whose story is recounted by the All-Glorious in his book revealed unto his beloved one, again he's talking about the Quran, observed. And a man of the family of Pharaoh, who was a believer, and concealed his face, said, Will ye slay a man because he saith, My Lord is God? When he hath already come to you with signs from your Lord. If he be a liar, on him will be his lie. But if he be a man of truth, part of what he threateneth will fall upon you. In truth, God guideth not him who is a transgressor, a liar. Finally, so great was their iniquity that this self-same believer was put to a shameful death. The curse of God be upon the people of tyranny. That's from the Quran. And then Baha'u'lláh goes on to say, and now ponder upon these things. What could have caused such contention and conflict? Why is it that the advent of every true manifestation of God hath been accompanied by such strife and tumult, by such tyranny and upheaval? This, notwithstanding the fact that all the prophets of God, whenever made manifest unto the peoples of the world, have invariably foretold the coming of yet another prophet after them, and have established such signs as would herald the advent of the future dispensation. So he's saying, why is it that these divine messengers sent from God are always persecuted? And that every one of them has talked about somebody who would come afterward and has identified the signs that would accompany the advent of the one who would come after. To this, the records of all sacred books bear witness. Why then is it that despite the expectation of men in their quest of the manifestations of holiness, in other words, as they look for the Holy One prophesied, and in spite of the signs recorded in the sacred books, such acts of violence, of oppression and cruelty should have been perpetrated in every age and cycle against all the prophets and chosen ones of God? Even as he hath revealed, again in the Quran, quote, as oft as an apostle cometh unto you with that which your souls desire not, ye swell with pride, accusing some of being impostors and slaying others. So he's going to go on here, and he's going to answer the question he's raising. Why? Why are they all persecuted like this? Reflect. What could have been the motive for such deeds? What could have prompted such behavior towards the revealers of the beauty of the All-Glorious? Whatever in days gone by hath been the cause of the denial and opposition of those people hath now led to the perversity of the people of this age. To maintain that the testimony of providence was incomplete, that it hath therefore been the cause of the denial of the people, is but open blasphemy. How far from the grace of the All-Bountiful and from his loving providence and tender mercies it is to single out a soul from amongst all men for the guidance of his creatures, and on one hand to withhold from him the full measure of his divine testimony, and on the other inflict severe retribution on his people for having turned away from his chosen one. No. The manifold bounties of the Lord of all beings have at all times, through the manifestations of his divine essence, encompassed the earth and all that dwell therein. Not for a moment hath his grace been withheld, nor have the showers of his loving kindness ceased to rain upon mankind. Consequently, such behavior can be attributed to naught save the petty-mindedness of such souls as tread the valley of arrogance and pride, are lost in the wilds of remoteness, walk in the ways of their idle fancy, and follow the dictates of the leaders of their faith. Their chief concern is mere opposition. Their sole desire is to ignore the truth. Unto every discerning observer, it is evident and manifest that had these people, in the days of each of the manifestations of the Son of Truth, sanctified their eyes, their ears, and their hearts from whatever they had seen, heard, and felt, they surely would not have been deprived of beholding the beauty of God, nor strayed far from the habitations of glory. So if people had just let go of their own opinions and experiences and just opened to what these divine messengers were doing and saying, they would have recognized the truth. But having weighed the testimony of God by the standard of their own knowledge, gleaned from the teachings of the leaders of their faith, and found it at variance with their limited understanding, they arose to perpetrate such unseemly acts. So I want to invite you to ask questions, to make comments. If you wish to offer a prayer, to do so. You can either type it into your comments bar, or you can make a request in your comments bar and I'll bring you online and you can join me. But I'm going to close this for now. I will try to be back tomorrow morning. And thank you.